Hey guys, welcome back to our race review of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Eventful weekend, to say the least. I'd say it's probably my favourite race of the year so far. As always, I'm here with Charlie.
Hello.
And yeah, this is what we're going to go through our race, our favourite bits we didn't disagree with, all that stuff. So Charlie, what was your opinion on the race so far?
I think I'd agree with you in terms of favourite race. I mean, it's kind of like having gone past the race now and looking back at it, it is a shame that it wasn't like a big championship fight, but at the same time, you always love to have a podium with people that you're not expecting. So like,
And you love the rain.
and you love a little bit of rain. You just wish there was more of it.
Yeah.
First of all, massive congrats to Ocon, obviously. But taking it back to the very start of the race where it all kind of just kicked off.
Valtteri Bottas, Mercedes sleeper agent got activated.
Yeah.
And decided to shake up the standings a bit.
The team player in the form of torpedoing just into anyone that's in front of him.
I mean, he's trying to secure a seat for next year by any means possible at this point. So it means take out both the Red Bulls in one move, secure a seat. You know what he's going to try and do?
And the
everything.
And the Mercedes that's ahead of him in the World Championship as well. The McLaren, sorry,
That is-
that's ahead of him in the World Championship.
He's a tactical guy. He knows what he's doing. No, but honestly, Valtteri, unfortunate from Valtteri, I think a combination of bad start from him anyway, kind of put the urgency, like the oh shit in his head, like I fucked this up start-wise, because you saw everyone just jump past him.
You're panicking. He's probably really looking in his mirrors.
He's like, shit, I've got to get this back somehow. I'll late brakes into the arse of Norris, kind of went through everyone with it and kind of fucked it. But like we said the other week, if you don't take those risks, are you a racing driver? So I feel bad for him, but ultimately that was a fucking cock up when you see shit like that taking out.
And well, he's already
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars because of his actions.
Yeah, and he's already come out and said that it was his fault. I mean, you saw Stroll did the same thing to
Lance hit
to
Danny
Leclerc,
Rick,
sorry, and then
didn't Danny Rick as well.
Well, that hit. Then I think he pushed him into Danny Rick, or like they ended up hitting Danny Rick as well.
Because of spin, yeah.
And
Danny Rick had a horrible race from then onwards, basically, because he got up to second, I think, almost at one point for that whole mash of cars.
Oh yeah, he was really close to getting through with Ocon and Vettel when they got through and were just behind Lewis. But then, even so, like you say, Danny Rick had a bad race. It ruined so many other people's races, not just people that finished.
The race wasn't bad because of his drive. His car was hurt badly in that incident.
It's the same as Verstappen. Like Red Bull put a picture up of Max's car afterwards, and the entire floor down the left side. I think
missing the barge ball. You said you're missing the barge ball, but that was more than the barge ball. The car was basically nothing there.
Well, there was no floor there at all. Yeah,
and that's why he was racing. Well, Horner said 50% of a car.
Yeah, and that's why he was fighting with the Williams rather than stopping Lewis getting past him.
And Lewis went past them all. Getting past them. I'd say Giovinazzi did a little bit of defending, a nice little bit of defending against Lewis in a couple of corners. I like to see that. And like, even when with Mick and stuff, Mick was still getting his elbows out and having a bit of a fight at the back.
Well, that was with Max as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were like, I was like, fair play. You know, you're not probably going to win these fights, but show you for that fighting edge, stick your elbows out and just have a go of it, lad. Like, it was nice to see.
Yeah, well, to be fair to them, the only other car that Mick's going to be fighting with is the likes of a Williams, or it's going to be Mazepin, and it's probably quite not weird for them because obviously they would have done it before in junior championships, but to go from you just need to basically drive around for 70 laps and get out of the way when people lap you to you've got
a bit of like
you've got the guy that's second in the championship right behind you, you're actually fighting for position like that. You must absolutely love that as a driver to be like, okay, I can actually do something here, and like Alonso would have loved it as well. Yeah,
Alonso obviously got team players. Shout out to George Russell and Alonso.
Yeah.
Alonso's why Ocon won. Alonso's defensive driving, doing everything he could to stop Hamilton on that fighting up the thing. Alonso's the reason why Ocon won that race.
100%.
Playing the team player role, defending like insanely well. And even George, when Latifi was third at one point, Latifi was in the standings, and George came on the radio and went, "Guys, sabotage my race. I don't care.
Yeah.
Make sure Nicky gets the points." Like he would rather, he was in the points himself, but he was like, literally, I don't care, everything for Nicky Stevie, because he knew how much more this meant for the team. Imagine they got both scored points this week, which is great, but imagine a podium for Williams, that position they were currently in. He was like, just do it. And
do what you need to do, yeah.
What a team player and like an asset George Russell is, not only because you have the arsehole driver that's like, no, I want to win. I'm not going to say names, Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
We'll do everything to win.
But you can tell that Russell's got that edge to him when
100%.
when he has the instances where it's like, we could have got points today, guys. Like, and because he was so emotional afterwards, you could tell that it means so much to him. That yes,
this
he
is
wants
his first points.
Yeah, he wants to fight for the team, but also he will still have that selfishness in him because he'll turn around to the team and say, like, guys, what was that? We should have done better. Like he did with Mercedes when he should have won the race
those double cock-ups
because of the messed up pit stops. Yeah.
I mean, it's also Nicholas had already got points. I think last year he scored 1 point. I think in a race, was it? Latifi got 1 point last year for Williams. So it's not Latifi's first point, but George got his first points. That's why I think he went, just get Nicholas. If you can get him a podium, that'd be fucking insane for the team. Like, fair play to him. And even after the race, again, you saw how emotional he was.
Well, I think the great thing is it puts them 8th in the constructors.
They're clear of Haas.
Well, no, they're ahead of Alfa Romeo because Alfa Romeo have only scored like a couple of points this season. They're only on 3 points. So that 10, and then obviously the big...
Will this shit them up though? Will they go... We've planned for coming dead last.
Having loads more money.
We've allowed for this like 110%, and now we've got to only work on 100% of it. I mean, it shouldn't that badly because 100% is still quite a lot of money.
And you've got the sponsorships that will come with finishing
definitely
better off as well.
So I know driver of the day went to Fernando Alonso from everyone's thing. Who was your driver of the day, Charlie?
Part of me would say because of how well he dealt with it.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't like him, Esteban Ocon.
Yeah.
Because
I can see that.
He could have quite easily gone backwards from there. And even without the Lewis pressure, which, if it was another 3 laps in the race, Lewis would have won the race.
Definitely.
With the Ferraris behind him, with Vettel behind him, there were times when Vettel was like 0.3 of a second, but he managed to hold him off. Arguably, Vettel had the quicker car, which is what Vettel was saying at the end of the race. He said, guys, we should have won this today. We had the pace. But if it was any other track, Vettel would have overtaken him. It's just Hungaroring's difficult to overtake.
Very tight.
Yeah.
I mean...
So I think when you've got a driver that's gone and won his first Grand Prix, yes, okay, 6 or 7 drivers have ended up not actually finishing. You've still got to be there. You've got to keep yourself out of trouble. That first corner, he could have quite easily been involved in that big tangle.
Been out in that, yeah.
And to go from eighth on the grid to first, I don't think you can really argue with that. I think as a team point of view, yes, Alonso did great. Who would you say is your driver?
Driver of the day, Valtteri Bottas. The amount of impact he had in the whole race. No, I think, I thought there's some good drives across the board. I was looking at it, like Carlos Sainz even had a good drive himself. I was staying out of trouble getting his way up there. I have to give it to Alonso like everyone else did because simply while he didn't win and get a podium, he came 4th, but the team drive he did, he knew because his experience, he went, right, I probably can't win this, but I can make sure my teammate can, and he put in a fucking good drive against Hamilton, all that. He was defending the whole time.
It was really nice to see him and Ocon at the end as well.
Yeah, he was going for it, and he knew he was racing for another reason. He wasn't racing to win, he was racing for his team, and which I thought was amazing. And even for something like a world champion Fernando Alonso, he can be a bit of a, no, I'm Fernando, I want to win, like someone at McLaren, like this car's slow as shit, all this stuff. But like, he actually wanted to, he knew the bigger game plan was going for it, and ultimately it paid off for Alpine.
He knew what his role was there, yeah.
Yeah. So, I want to talk about someone, Sebastian Vettel, during the race and prior to the race, was not the FIA weren't his biggest fan of what happened over the whole weekend. Firstly, with the t-shirt incident, him and a couple of other drivers got pulled up for that, and also that
was purely for not taking off the Pride
so he
top.
Wore a Pride. He was told before the weekend he wasn't allowed to wear Pride stuff, basically. So if you notice, he wore a pair of shoes that were Converse that had the Pride flag, the new one with the extra colours put on the side. So for equality, everything. He was wearing that on his shoes, which you can't tell them off because they haven't got a shoe sponsor at Aston Martin. So technically, he's just wearing his own shoes. You can't do him for that. He walked out and he was told before the national anthem plays for Hungary, take off the shirt, and I think he had to wear a different mask potentially. I'm not sure on that, but basically he had a digital print, full Pride flag, like saying I think it was "Same Love" or something across the shirt. Which fair play, that's his value, morals. Do what you want. In Hungary, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's homosexual activities are banned or illegal or something. I want to say they got a law. Basically, that's what Vettel was going against. That's why F1 didn't want him to wear it because obviously politics. They don't bring politics into the sport. However, they basically pulled him to the steward's office and told him off heavily for it. And in the interview afterwards, they went, Yeah, I think the interview was with Sky Sports. We're like, you do it again? Yeah, I do it again. I don't care. I stand for what I believe in. It's silly. And he went to the interviewer like, would you wear it? Do you agree with me? And he was like, I can't say anything. I'm a Sky reporter, but keep doing what you're doing, mate. He's like, and that was like, yeah, I'll do it again. I don't care. Like,
yeah,
I will stand for my morals and values. And the same way Lewis uses his platform to wear the Black Lives Matter shirts, or I remember Silverstone last year, that Breonna Taylor was murdered t-shirts, stuff like that he was wearing.
Yeah.
So my opinion is no different to Lewis standing for what he believes in, and they're all worthy causes to be believing. It's just, I think Formula One have a different level when it comes to the racial equality and some other countries, the homophobia countries, stuff like that, when the Vettel was pushing for pride and that stuff. It's weird to see Formula One's different take on both, like going to countries where homosexuality is illegal, but then also being like, we stand for pride, where it's kind of like, what are you trying to get at here, guys? You're doing one, and then you're saying one thing and taking with the other.
Well, it's like the human rights stuff and Qatar and things like that. And the fact that, they will, to an extent, they'll only question things when it's not something that they're directly involved in or someone that they're benefiting from.
Lewis, for example.
Because you've got Lewis can call these places out, because if they were to really argue with Lewis and start fining him, giving him penalties, he'd probably just walk away.
He could disappear
from
the sport.
If they lose him, then they lose millions of viewers.
Yeah, and they know where the money is, and I think it's all money driven. Then going on forwards from that, talking about Lewis and Vettel, I said the other incident that happened. Obviously, we saw Valtteri Bottas nicely clear off the track for everyone. 5-second grid penalty for next race. It's alright. It's a bit harsh, but not a bit harsh. It's kind of warranted. Like, what he did take out 5 cars and probably cost millions of team damage across the whole thing, even with a cost cap. It's devastating. But Sebastian Vettel, who finished second, had a brilliant race, is now disqualified because he didn't have enough petrol in the car, according to the FIA. I think you should have a litre in the car when you finish.
They could only get out 0.3.
Even though Aston Martin said there's a litre in the system, I think this was taken, I correct if I'm wrong, during testing later on, they started dismantling, taking apart the cars and stuff. The fuel test was taken at a later stage or something. But Aston Martin is saying there was a litre in there. They're saying it's 0.3. Either way, the car finished across the line and it had fuel in the system. I think a full disqualification is a bit harsh in comparison to a guy who's just taking out 5 cars on the grid, damaged potentially more that were still racing, getting a 5 grid penalty. Whereas, you've got Vettel over here getting his whole race wiped basically because of a bit of fuel disparity, and it goes back to the weeks before. FIA being irregular again. 2 drivers knock each other off the track, one goes into the wall, championship gets put wide open, 10-second penalty. But then the week before that, it's a 10-second penalty for just making someone drive slightly wide. It almost feels like they're getting a different ref for you see a foot match, they put different refs on, like some refs are crap, some are good. It feels like the FIA are just fucking either coin tossing it or just pulling in different person every race saying different things.
But the stewards' inquiry changes, like the stewards will change between each race because you'll have.
But there should be uniformity between the punishment given out.
The thing is that it will be in the rule book about the punishment for not having enough fuel. Like that will be a set thing that you will get disqualified. So that's where it then looks even more sporadic in terms of the penalty given, because you've gone from 10-second penalty for driving someone into a wall to you're missing 0.7 of a litre of fuel, your entire 70 laps of the race get wiped out and you're disqualified from finishing second. Like, that seems really harsh in comparison to the one over here.
I'd say, okay, looking at the same race, we've got the same race. Let's ignore all the other races being different to this one. Bottas, 5 people taken out minimum, car damages for Hamilton, for everyone that's still on the track basically got damage as well. Max, all that stuff. So let's say he damages 7 cars, yeah?
Yep.
You've got Vettel over here, which to my knowledge didn't damage a car, and in the same race finished with petrol in the car. But obviously this is stop-start, lots of stuff had happened, so the petrol being used up more, no fuel or stuff. However, because of other action in the race, maybe you could potentially argue knock-on effects from Bottas's incident being the cars be red flagged and multiple restarts and outlaps caused more fuel to be used and stuff like that. One guy loses 5 places in the next race. One guy, complete race wipeout. They're the same stewards, put hand at the same rules. And is it more of a question, do the rules need to be looked at? Or is it just not saying Mercedes special treatment, but you're looking at it and going, keep the big dogs nice and happy. The mid-table teams we don't care about as much kind of situation, because it does seem when it comes to the different teams more it could be completely by accident, but the bigger teams seem to be getting a lot less harsh penalties given out than the mid to lower table stuff.
A lot softer penalties. A lot less harsh.
That's what I mean, less harsh, sorry. Like, obviously, Lewis the 10 seconds and Valtteri with the 5 penalty, whereas the mid-table stuff, where it actually means a lot because you've got the 2-3 teams away at the top, and the mid-table battle is quite intense at the moment.
I mean, you think Bottas will probably qualify in the top 3 in the next race.
So he's starting P8.
So the lowest he'll get dropped is to P8.
Yeah.
Aston Martin might not get another podium for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, the impact that has, especially as Bottas will get dropped, probably not even below everyone that he wiped out.
Yeah.
Like, chances are there will be people that finished, that he took out of the race, they might end up still starting below him. Because if he goes and puts it on pole and starts 5th, you could see Norris being below him and stuff. And Norris is sat there going, okay, so I've just had my race ruined, and the guy that did it is still able to start the next race in front of me.
It makes no sense, does it? And you've got, if you think about it, the ramifications is massive for Aston Martin as a team. Finishing P2, don't you get, is it 18 points? 25 for first, 18 for second? So I'm looking at now, driver standings, Sebastian Vettel after this race is currently on 30 points. If he had got 18 points for this win, he would have been ahead of Fernando Alonso, ahead of Esteban Ocon. He would have been 2 points behind Daniel Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly.
You've got to remember as well, Gasly got extra points, got 3 extra points because he got bumped up a place. Ricciardo would have finished outside the points anyway, so it was always going to be on 50.
But you then look at the constructors. Aston Martin are sat at 48 points. AlphaTauri at 68 points. Alpine at 77. You give 18 points to Aston Martin, they're at 60? Yeah, 66 at this point now?
Yeah, you're closing the gap, and also
AlphaTauri would be 68, they'd be slightly less.
Yeah, they'd be less, yeah.
So you look at it and it's like, right, well, you can't, this impact is massive for the mid-table battle, because you've now basically a team which would have been 5th, 6th, is now sat in 7th because of a referee discrepancy.
Every argument that they would bring, there is a simple answer from the FIA.
It's in the rulebook, right?
It is in the rulebook. Every team has managed to do it.
And you've all agreed
Why
to the
haven't
rules
you?
as well.
Yeah, you've all agreed to the rules. And every race weekend, you all do it. You knew you were in a position to finish second. Why risk it? Why go and take that risk? Yes, obviously Lewis was like seconds behind him, like less than a second behind. So they, but even if you did get overtaken, you finished third. That's still third rather than a DNF.